Hello, Dedee. How are you?
I am doing wonderful, Terry. How are
I
you?
am blessed. Marcellus, thank you for joining us on today.
Hey, ladies. Hey, Jacksonville.
Hey.
So, we're so ready to hear what today's topic is.
So we're just going to do an overview of planning to launch your own business, and later on we're going to bring you a master plan to launching your own business.
All right.
And I have Marcellus here helping me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, they call Dee the real estate angel because she's always shining, but today she has on a nameplate with all types of bling,
I
bling.
see it.
So there's a lot of shining going on in the studio today.
Well, that's because I was at that builder's trade show, so I had to try to, get those new homes sold and get some information.
Yeah.
So I was blinging a little
There are
bit
a lot
today.
of rap artists that would be very happy to share in some of that bling bling jewelry that you have there. So that's a good look. That's a good look.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So, let's backtrack to last week where you talked about the 4 P's to entrepreneurship, which are
Purpose,
Yeah.
plan, prepare, and proceed. And those were the 4 P's I made up on the way here because I just thought about in business, what is the first thing we need to do? First, we need to have some type of purpose. We need to have a purpose from God on what are we doing, because if we're not purposed to do that, then it may be a little struggle because you're not walking in your purpose. You may be walking in someone else's purpose. So you want to walk in your own shoes. So first you want to develop the purpose and seek him to understand that this is what he wants you to do. And most times, if you feel a peace about it, then it's pretty good because he's not, he wants us to be happy. He said he wants us to be prosperous. So you want to develop the purpose. So today we want to talk about the plan.
all right then.
And you know what? My dad, he used to always tell me, you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yes.
So that rung in my head a lot.
That's right.
And I heard someone else mention just with regards to sales, if you don't plan where you're going, you're already there. And that hit me like, wow. But I think there's something to that in that preparation. And if you don't, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. And planning, sometimes that's the hardest part. And we look at that as being the most stressful part sometimes because it takes time. Planning does takes time. I look back now to something, I usually inscribe a lot, just write different ideas, and that's planning. And I look back at those books, it could be years, ago that I had put that mission or whatever there. And it takes time. Sometimes we want things overnight, but we need to develop our structure and plan it. And that's why it's so stressful because sometimes we think we should have it now, but we need to prepare. So planning is a part of preparation.
Where do you get your inspiration to plan?
When I shut down,
Yes,
shutting
yes.
down really takes me there. Like this week, like I say, this was mostly my reflection time, just reflecting. And I really had to get out and walk at the pier and walk in nature and a lot of times you think I'm just exercising, but those innovative juices are
Yes.
just flowing. That creativity, thoughts are coming to you. Your next steps are coming to you. So for me, it helps me to just, shut down and even turn off the phone and turn off some things. I'm not ignoring anyone out there that, if it's not about business, but this was so important for me this week just to shut down and start making preparations for 2020 and understanding where I am. So just walking out in nature, swimming, going out on the pier really helps me.
Absolutely. So today's topic, as you said, is the plan to launching your own business. What are the steps to take to open your own business?
Steps to take to open your business. Oh, just let me say this. I'm going to go back for 1 second because something came to me about the planning. In the Bible, we just want to give a couple of verses when it comes to planning. We have Jeremiah 29:11-13. God talks about planning. Philippians 1:6. One special one that comes to me is Proverbs 31. When we talk about the virtuous woman, one thing she did, actually three things. She spent wisely, she worked hard, and she planned ahead. Those three things, they speak of what she does. And even God, he planned, we'll get into systems later, but he made the earth, and then he developed man. So all of that was a plan, and he said he has a plan for us, a plan that is good. So, we want to keep that in mind when we think of our planning.
Absolutely. So the steps to take to own your own business.
Okay, this may be a little lengthy, but we first, when we go over the steps, when you start thinking about opening your own business, you want to first think about, do I have the characteristics to open up my own business? So, again, I thought of some key characteristics, and they all start with a D.
Like Dedee?
Like Dedee.
Like Diva?
We have dedication. You need to be dedicated to your purpose, dedicated to your baby, dedicated to your goals. You need to have determination. There's going to be times when it seems that, it's a struggle for you, but you need to be determined to make it.
So you're saying I got to be consistent? I can't start it on Monday and end it on Friday?
No, not when having a business. It's so many times, I look at so many sleepless nights and things I have went. That's why I relaxed the last 2 months of the year. But, you just got to have that determination, that drive, that diligence, the decisiveness. You need to be able to make a decision. You can't be a leader and can't make a decision. And you need to get that direction. Once again, you need to have that direction from Christ on your footsteps that you should take.
And I would just even share with that, like a business ultimately for me is creating value. You're creating value in exchange for money. Mm-hmm. So when you're creating value, you're doing that for someone else. So there's this concept in business, it's called an ongoing entity. But that means you have to be around. You have to open up. So when people open up a store in a mall, you'll get fined if your store isn't open at 10, 9 when they open, because they're expecting that. Like Chick-fil-A has to let people know we're not open on Sundays. Mm-hmm. So and I'm sure we've pulled up one day and was like, oh, it's Sunday. Can't get that meal. But there's a responsibility to people, and you have to be committed because you're creating value for them. And if you create the right type of value, in exchange, you will be compensated. Yeah. But it's a give and take, so you have to do it for them. And that means being committed and doing things that you may not want to do because it's in the best interest of your customer.
Yes, that dedication comes through, and that commitment. Yes, definitely. So when we talk about opening up a business, there are some key things. So first, you're going to decide, I want to have this business, and that has to be a decision. And when you decide you want to have that business, just like Marcella said, you want to be committed to this business. You know that you got to be there days when you're rather, stay home. Number 2, you need to research your business. Research it to see, are you solving a problem? So what type of business? Because we all can do the same thing, but am I solving a problem? Are there too many out there? What are we doing? So research your business, because you may think it's something I just created and came up with this, but then it may be 10, 15 in the same locality. So you want to definitely do your research, do your homework, benchmark, understand your competition, and the finances. What does it take for me to open up this business? How much will I make? And how many employees do I need to have? So you definitely need to do your homework before you open up a business. The next thing, you want to identify your mission plan. So what problem am I solving? It should be stated somewhere in your mission. What do you propose to do? Do I have the ability to do what I say I'm going to do?
Yes.
And then that name of your company. To me, a name of a company is so important, because we don't have the yellow pages. We can go online. But if I have just a name, Harper and Associates, you don't know what Harper and Associates mean.
True.
So I need to add in there real estate. So now I sell real estate, but sometimes I see names out there and I can't figure out what you do. So I was talking to my friend in Memphis this week, and he said he started, he worked for FedEx, and I think he was starting a lawn service company, or he had a company on the side, and he called it 3 Mile Lawn Service. And I was like, okay, he had the lawn service in there, so we knew that was a lawn service company. So I said, well, what does 3 miles stand for?
Help me.
Yeah. And so I was glad he was able to articulate it very well. He said, that means I go 3 extra miles. I would go beyond the value. So for him, that meant something. So I was like, okay, as long as you can articulate what you mean when you say that, then it's good. But a lot of times people don't know exactly what that means. So ensure that your name makes sense in your company and you have a name that the community understands and not just you. The next thing, you want to ensure you have the proper credentials or license. You may want to be a realtor, but if you don't go take the 63 hours, pass your final, that final is sent to the state, then you take your state exam, you cannot become a realtor. Even after that, you are not a realtor, you are a sales associate. In order to become a realtor, you would join a board. So we have NEFAR in Duval County, so you cannot use that name realtor unless you have joined the board after receiving your license. So you want to ensure you have the proper credentials and the licensing to do whatever you say you're going to do. I deal with a lot of handymen in maintenance. No shame to the handymen, but sometimes they say, when I ask, what do you do? What do you specialize? They'll say everything. Mm-hmm. To me, that's a red flag. You should specialize in something. You can't just do everything.
What are you certified in?
Yeah, what are you certified in? A lot of times it's nothing because they did not get that contractor's license. So, and they don't want to go the next step. Not saying handymans are not good, but a lot of times you need to specialize in the area that you're going into and study that area.
And I'll even weigh in there. People hear this concept, supply and demand, and, it sounds super economic, but in a nutshell, it's pretty much the higher the demand is, meaning the more people want something, and the less suppliers there are to provide it, which is more of a niche sometimes than not, then that means the more of a price that you can charge and the more money you can make. So with that being a goal there, I think that aspiring entrepreneur, to your point, which is a very powerful point, look into how many competitors are in that field already. And if you find that it's saturated and there's so many doing it, which it happens, in many different industries, then you have to know just off the jump, there's going to be less money made because there's so many options. But and there's this line that I love, riches and niches. If you have this niche and not a lot of people have it, and a quick example is, I had a friend whose daughter had a brain injury and needed actually surgery on it. And they were in Miami, and there were only 2 brain surgeons and only one that works with children in pediatrics. So of all the people in Miami, of all the different doctors and hospitals, there was only one. And the parents said whenever they went there, it was at least 4 people in the office. She was sure that could be open 24 hours a day if they needed to. So that's a multi-million-dollar business just because of the niche that they serve. So I think it's important for people, just like you said, to look at something that they can do that everybody isn't doing, because that's where your value comes into play.
And that make me think of the real estate market. Right now we have double the agents than we had, 2 years ago. So this particular industry is growing, but it's diverse. You don't have to just sell homes, just residential. You can go into commercial. You can go into being a business broker. You can go into selling just land, or you can even diversify the type of land that you sell. You can sell agriculture. You can go into warehouse, any, field that some people are not thinking out of the box, or you can just, you making just list for the government or something of that nature. It doesn't have to be the same thing that everyone else is doing. So it is a very diverse field. So the next one, you want to identify your structure after you know the proper credentials and licensing, whether you want an LLC, sole proprietary, C Corp, S Corp, partnership, but you want to definitely identify the structure of your business. And then you want to go to the state, which on the website is sunbiz.org. You want to go to the state and apply for it because the state wants to know what you're doing. So they always want to be in the business. So you got to pay. It's not that expensive. Pay the small fee to establish your business. And then after you go to the state, now your local municipality wants to know that you have this business. So you would go to your tax collector office and apply for your occupational license. The next step, you want to get your insurance. For realtors or brokers, I also have to have, you have your general liability and your workman's comp, your basic insurance, But then we also have a type of insurance called E&O, errors and omission, just in case we're sued for something. Especially the brokers, we just have to have some extra insurance there. Then sometimes you also want to get your reseller certificate if you're selling any type of goods, as well as your if you're hiring employees, your reemployment certificates. And then you think about that building, whether you want a brick and mortar or do you want to have a home-based business. Now, if you want a brick and mortar, call me because I can help you find that commercial building that you're looking for if you want to buy or sell. But yes, those are the steps that you would take to open up a business.
All right. If you're just tuning in, it is 20 minutes before the hour of 5 p.m. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more from Dedee Harper.